Hey Viper drivers, Quincy here with a short update. It's kind of a product preview, if you will. For a long time, I've been using the Simgears ICP LT. It's a great piece of equipment. I highly recommend it. It is still available out there. I think it's the best ICP made by anybody, to be honest with you. Back around June, I believe, Simgears put out an email saying that they were taking pre-orders for a new ICP Pro version. This intrigued me. I decided to order it. Some of the upgrades, let's talk about it. The biggest expense to it is adding this actual auto controls dauber switch. This is the same switch that's used in the F-16's ICP. It's backlit. You can see that there's lighting on the arrows. You won't find that on the LT, which is a 3D printed lever and switch. But this is the actual switch integrated into this panel. It works fantastic, as you can see here on my DED. As I move that dauber switch, it's changing on my DED. It's also changing in the software. You can see it toggling up, down, left, right, and the DED is also responding in kind. So that is one of the biggest cost increases over the LT. But what I've also found is that it seems to be built a little more ruggedly. There is a metal backplate. You could kind of see it behind here with the screws. That's the foundation for this. It's built upon a nice piece of metal. So that should withstand a lot of heavy pressing for a long time. Not that the LT would have had any problem, even though it's plastic, but this is nice just to have that much more rigidity in it. You probably wouldn't even notice, to be honest with you, but I'm glad it's there. One feature I'm not really pleased about, but I think according to the manual that there's a way to change how this works. This is the brightness knob for the backlighting on your ICP. On the LT, this works perfectly. This would basically dim and turn off the backlighting. As you can see, it doesn't do anything. And within DCS, I can't even program that knob to do that, because this function was integrated into the LT's panel and programming on board. So the LT, this will dim, this one won't dim here. Instead, it came with an external box. You can see it down there. It's taking up a little space inside my HUD. It has a knob. It has 3 positions: off, low, and bright. Right now it's on bright. I usually fly at night with the lights off in the room. It makes this a little too bright, and low is a little too low. I don't like that I'd have to go in here and turn that knob. As you can see, I have a bunch of components in there, and it kind of gets in the way. That's my only downside, folks. So back to the ICP's improvements over the LT. Symbology knob, very smooth operating. You can see that the HUD is controlled perfectly through this knob. You can see that the ICP on screen turns perfectly with this knob as I rotate it. It only takes about 5 minutes to program. This is an HID device, so within DCS, you basically program each of these buttons and you're good to go. It takes 5 minutes. You go to COM1, say COM1 button, boom. Make that the COM1 button, COM2 button, IFF. So you can program these buttons not only for your F-16, but if you wanted some similar functions on other aircraft, you can program these. If you were flying the A-10, you can do that, put some A-10 specific bindings to these. So that's cool. So in that regard, the Block 50 Viper that we have in DCS does not have the lantern pod. And these functions right here are for the lantern pod. So basically they aren't used, but they're functional on this ICP. I've just decided to bind them to other things. Like I use a head tracker. I'm not using it right now. You'd get kind of nauseous as I look around. But the head trackers tend to drift every once in a while and they need to be recentered. So I binded up my weather WX button to be my centering button. It's perfect. It's right in front. I can get at it easily. When I'm using nods or night vision goggles at night flying, there is the ability to control the contrast and the brightness. Well, that I've used the FLIR brightness. So that's been repurposed. I have a couple other items. I forget what I've recently binded these to as far as other controls. So I have a few extras. It's kind of nice to have. The reticle depression works as well as reticle depression. And it's a fantastic piece of equipment here as far as its feel. It has a little nicer response than the LT. There must be a different means of how these buttons are actuated behind the scenes here. But I find that the button press is a little more tactile, a little firmer, and it probably, maybe you could hear it. It has a little bit of a click to it. So the overall feel of this whole panel is improved over the LT. And it's hard to improve on the LT, to be honest with you. It really is. See all this works. Let's clear that junk out of there that we typed in. So this is the ICP Pro. Now unboxing real quick. Here's an unexpected treat, if you will. They send you a stand. So if you're making a desk pit, there is a stand that comes with this ICP panel so that you can just plop it down on your desk and be able to push on the buttons without pushing it over. It's nice and solid. The LT comes with an acrylic stand, and I expected the same with this one. All the pre-order information said it would come with a stand, but it didn't really describe what it would come with. Okay, I expected basically the same stand I already had. However, I was pleasantly surprised to find that while this isn't it, because this is part of my sim pit, it came with basically a slice of this HUD box. And this was mounted inside of that. So just using mounting screws, I dismounted it from that stand and screwed it directly right into my sim pit, because this is all the proper measurements that it was built with. So now my Simgears ICP LT sits as an awesome ornament on my shelf that I installed into that HUD Block replica, and it looks pretty cool out there with some of my other memorabilia and plane models and such. So now I have an F-16 ICP sitting up on the counter. So if you have any other questions about this Simgears ICP Pro, leave them in the comments. Of course, everyone always says it, so I'll say it too. Be sure to subscribe, share it with your buddies, and take a good look at Simgears. They're going to have some exciting products coming out with their sim pit, their desk pit, I should say. That's in development right now. Should be announced and released soon. Basically, if you took WinWing's F-18 desk pit, think of the F-16 setup now clamped to your desk. So you don't have to get this fancy to be able to have this kind of usability. And that would be such an awesome upgrade for anybody using Thrustmaster MFDs, kind of jerry-rigged in with some sort of monitors. Be so much easier to just plug it and play it, and you're on your way. So look forward to that. And they're also producing a proper TQS, which I'm looking forward to get rid of this WinWing. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but for this sim pit, as a one-to-one replica, this just does not work. So once again, Simgears from Italy, highly recommended. Tell Andrea that I said hello if you contact him. And look for some new videos soon. So for now, Quincy